and it's going now, so we're ready. We're ready to go. Mary, you're the only person who's in at this point. Um, so I guess the best thing to do is to let you ask a question, and Dr. Putney's in the room, and she is the expert on every volunteer experience form known to man, and on this planet as well as any other. So you're fortunate to have her so you can ask questions specifically about any forms or anything. But do you have any questions before we kind of talk through, Dr. Putney talks through what's expected?
Well, I guess I would just go over what I think that I have and what I'm clear on, but otherwise I'm ready to listen and just sort of check and make sure I'm on the right track.
Okay. Dr. Putney, would you like to kind of cover the forms that have been in the past?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep, I
can you
hear
hear me out? Okay, great. Well, let's start with the volunteer experience forms, or what used to be known as field experience forms. And Mary, when did you start the program?
Spring 2011.
Okay. So you don't go back too many versions, which is helpful. But one of the things that you probably have experienced is that you have one version of forms for some courses and a different version of forms for other courses, and that is not a problem at all. You can simply compile what you've got into one document, and that from one page to the next, it does not have to match. That's not a problem at all. We basically just need documentation that you have completed a minimum of 100 hours of volunteer experience. And on some of the old forms, you were putting the reflections on the same sheet, and that's okay because you really don't, we need a reflection, but it can either be in those pieces for each course, or some people have a reflection that they've been compiling as they've gone through. So it really doesn't matter. We need a copy of the activities checklist, and you can either scan the one that you've been carrying around that's all ragged and dog-eared, or you can simply type the information on that and then don't worry about the signatures or the initials. That's the main thing. We need something, whether it's the individual forms that indicate the time and the place and all of that, one single reflection, or if you've got your reflections on those forms, that's fine, and the activities checklist. So basically we need to know documentation for your hours, your reflection, and then the activities checklist in whatever form you've got it. Does that make sense on the volunteer forms?
Yeah, that makes great sense. I guess I'm confused about the demographics thing. I know that the one form I've sort of putting in minimal information about the different schools. Is there different information about that?
Since you're not doing TK20, no, the minimal information will be just fine. Those who are doing TK20 actually have a school demographic data form that they do for each course. But since you're not doing TK20, if you just have that basic information on there, that will be wonderful.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. All right, then let's look at let's talk about impact on learning. Basically, there are 3 different versions of that project. The initial one is the one where for every little substandard of the competencies, the AASL standards for the 21st century learner, there was a separate box, and students were repeating themselves over and over and over again. Then we took that form and simply merged the substandards under the main standards, so there were only like a few boxes to fill in. Then the final version is that impact on learning form that you do, or the impact on learning document that you do based on one of the projects, for example, the Dewey that you did in cataloging, or it could be with the Pathfinder from Reference or the resource kit from Tech for Media Services. So it really depends on when you took those courses as to which of those forms you have. When did you do cataloging?
I did cataloging last spring, I believe.
Okay.
Yes, last spring.
Okay. What some students have done in the past, if you look at the new impact on learning form or instructions, a lot of students have found it easier to provide that documentation than it is to go in and fill out that huge form where you have so many boxes. And you can do it either way. So you may want to take a look at the impact on learning so that, let's see, I'm going to see if I can open it up here. Oh, that's not going to help me. Let me try this. Nope. Dr. Snipes, do you have any of the impact on learning forms in the course yet?
I don't have any in the course right now.
Okay.
I've got the box up ready for the students to submit theirs at TK20, but I don't think that I included any of the forms at this point, but certainly can.
Right. Okay. Well, Mary, if you don't have that impact on learning form, just send either Dr. Snipes or I a message, and we can send it to you. And Dr. Snipes, what we may want to do is go ahead in that module and put up the new impact on learning instructions in that module. I wouldn't put up the old form.
I'm double checking right now to see if it's there while we're in the room right now.
Okay. I don't think it's worth it to put up the old forms anymore because there's so few people using that. Because last semester, almost everybody used the new form. It was just so much easier to document that than it was to do that whole long thing.
Is it something that I should have been working on this whole time, or like filling out at the end of each course?
Yes, but that wasn't always happening. And that's why a lot of people have gone to just using the new one, because then they only have to document one project instead of lots of projects.
Okay, well that sounds good.
Okay, so we'll make sure that the new form, it's not really a form, that the new instructions are in that module, so that you can take a look at that.
I just went in and checked, and both the old form and the new form for impact on learning, I did upload those, so they have been rolled over, both of those forms.
Okay, but I don't find them. Where are they?
Okay, I went into Course Builder, and under Course Builder, I have a tab that's impact on learning, and both of those files are posted.
Okay, well they're not showing. They must be hidden.
Okay, I'm going back and forth. That's why the time is lagging.
That's okay. It's okay. Mary, when you click on,
hidden.
I see the Module 2 Impact on Learning. When I click on the little I link, it shows the two forms as a link under that module.
Oh, so they're in the. Oh, no, that's interesting because see, I don't see them at all.
Yeah, I see two document attachments, old and new.
Interesting. Okay, well,
and
as long as they're there, that's
them, old and new. So
okay.
Under Student View, we may be able to see them, whereas under Instructor View, you can't see them unless you go under the Build format. So if we go in as a student, we should be able to see them actually.
That is strange, though, that they don't show up. Because all I can get to is the Dropbox. Well, anyway, Mary, as long as you can see them, that's all that counts right now. So take a look at those, and then basically you would decide which you want to do, either the old or the new.
Okay, sounds good.
Let's see what else we have here that might be different. The other thing that has changed the most is the roles.
If
yes.
I can interrupt you for just 1 second. I went in
Certainly.
into Student View, and under Student View, you can see both of the files that the students see. So they're both there. If you need to go in and look at those files,
Right.
under Student View,
well, no,
change
I don't
to that.
It's just it doesn't make any sense that we can't see them. How is the instructor supposed to ever know that they've got stuff up?
Okay. I totally agree.
I will say this. I opened, so the one attachment says Impact on Learning Old, and then the other attachment says just Impact on Learning. And I opened that one, and it's just the instructions. It's not a
Correct.
form.
Correct.
Okay.
Right. There's not a form. You just follow those instructions, and toward the end, there's an outline of what you need to include in your document.
Okay.
Right. That's section 3.
Yep. Right. Very good. The other thing that has changed the most is the roles of the media specialist and portfolio. But basically, if you just follow the instructions that Dr. Snipes has posted, you know, that we've cleaned it up a lot, and it's basically a much easier process for students, and has worked out really well. Okay, I don't see anything else. So, Mary, what kinds of questions do you have at this point?
Well, that clears up a lot about the impact on learning. I was definitely confused on that one, but
Yes.
I think, you know, I've certainly filled out most of the portfolio drafts, getting all the assignments together and putting them in the right place. I think and that's due, you know, that draft is due Monday, I believe, or Tuesday. But I think I'm doing okay so far.
One of the things to remember about the matrix when you do the portfolio, that is kind of like an outline or a storyboard of what you're going to have as your final product with the roles portfolio product. If that makes kind of pulling your projects together and relating it to the standards. And then you put together this grand finale portfolio that has addressed all of those things you had in your storyboard, in your matrix. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's what I was, that's my perception too. So working on that storyboard, and then I'll probably create a Weebly to put it all together for the presentation.
Sounds great.
The Weebly format worked really well for several students last semester. They just turn out very professional looking when they get finished with them.
Okay, Mary, do you have any other questions? If you don't, Dr. Putney, what about, is there anything that you would like to have archived for the other students who are not in the session tonight that you think they may need to know? Anything you can anticipate that might be informative for them?
Well, I think the most important thing for this particular group of students is to keep in mind is that it's perfectly okay to have a combination of very old, sort of old, and new forms, particularly for the volunteer experience, because I know some of them have been through various versions of this process, and that it really is okay to send a mixture of things in.
I had put in my the conference form, that I still have to do a full day at the high school level, which I'm planning on doing probably a spring break type of timing. Is that still okay, or?
Yes,
yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing I was thinking is I put off doing the Dewey project from cataloging, knowing it was due by Practicum. And since the new course then, I guess I shouldn't ask this before I've really done the search for it, but I'm just wondering if there's a place with those distinct instructions from way back then. I feel like I could find them, but it's been a while.
I have them readily available. So if you send me an email, Mary, I'll be glad to just shoot you back an email with attachments with those instructions.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, anything else from either of you?
I'm good. Thank you both.
I think I'm fine too. Mary, it was good to talk to you tonight.
You too. Thank you.
Well, you both have a great evening, and we'll enjoy the snow and sunshine later on. So have a good evening, and thanks, Mary, for coming in.
Take care. Thank you.
Good night, Mary.